Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Herwire. I am the owner of Herwire Financial Plans with Direction. It is September 16th of 2022. Today we're going to be talking after the market wrap up about Social Security. Before we get into the meat of this, a few important disclosures. The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only. They're not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any performance reference is historical, not a guarantee of future results. All data is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no representation is made as to its completeness or its accuracy. None of this is to be construed as tax, legal, or financial advice. Consult your advisor prior to taking any action. Okay, the numbers as of last night. Dow Jones closed below 31,000 at 30,961.82. Year to date, down 14.8%. The S&P 500 closed at 3901.46, down year to date 18.14%. The NASDAQ 100 11,929.03. Year to date, it's down almost 27%. Gold closed at $1,664.71 per ounce. Year to date, it's down about almost 9%. Bitcoin index closed at 19,702. Year to date, it's down 58.87%. The US dollar index closed at 109.74. Year to date, it's actually up 14.71%. The 10-year Treasury last night closed at 3.45%. Year to date, it's up almost 2%, just a little shy from its year start at 1.51. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably going to go up some more later on. Don't know when, don't know how much, but that's just a guess. The S&P aggregate bond index closed at 196.58, down 11.37% year to date. Numbers here are approximate. Today, we're going to talk about Social Security. Millions of Americans collect Social Security. It's a program that began in the 1930s, instituted by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Current average benefit is $1,666.49. Numbers here are approximate average benefit as of April 2022. It is estimated that somewhere between 12 and a little less than 20% of people collecting Social Security have Social Security as 90% or more of their income. It's also estimated that 42 to 50% of people collecting have Social Security as more than half their income. Now, keep in mind when you're looking at these numbers, because they are scary, but if you're thinking it's 50 plus, almost, if you think it's almost 60 to 70% of people, it's not. The first stat about those having more than 90% of their income, it's included in this more than 50%. So one thing you need to know about Social Security is if you collect it before your full retirement age, there may be an earning test, which will disrupt your expected flow of income. So a few important terms for Social Security. FRA, also known as full retirement age. If you were born on January 2nd, 1960, or after that, your full retirement age is 67. Everybody else born January 1, 1960 and earlier, their full retirement age ranges between 65 and 66 years and 10 months. Primary insurance amount. This is also an important concept. Fortunately, it's not very complicated. It's simply put the approximate amount you can collect when you reach full retirement age. Based on one's top 35 years of earnings. People say, Steve, what if I don't have 35 years of earnings? Well, say you only have 25. Well, then they're going to count 10 of them as zero earnings. So it is an approximation because when they're Doing the approximation, they're looking at your earnings pattern over the years up to the time where you get the statement, and they're assuming your earnings pattern will continue in a substantially similar fashion. It's the only choice they have because they have no idea. If you say, for instance, decide I'm going to stop working at age 62, then your primary insurance amount is going to be different than what they put on the paper because they're counting on you to work, 4 or 5 more years, depending on when your PIA is. So don't take it to the bank, but it's a good benchmark. Benefits, with a few exceptions, can be normally accessed beginning at age 62. Now, the exceptions include not having enough quarters of Social Security earnings, being disabled and younger than 62, being a widow or an orphan. I'm not going to talk extensively about that. I'm just going to let you know that they exist. This is primarily focused on the people that had a wage all their lives and are retiring and collecting sometime between 62 and 70. Okay, accessing Social Security. We used to get these statements in the mail. I think maybe some still do. I'm a little confused on that. But now, the simplest way is to go on your computer, pick out your favorite web browser, and go to ssa.gov. SSA, for those wondering, stands for Social Security Administration. Scroll down the screen just a little bit. You should see on the left-hand side a My Social Security button. If you haven't already done it, you can click on that and you can set up your account, and it helps you access all of your information. Now, one recommendation I do have for everybody, because it's a universal recommendation, is I would check your Social Security statement every year. And I'd probably pick sometime later in the year after you filed your taxes, because say, for instance, you earned $100,000 last year, but Social Security says you only earned 50. Well, if that's supposed to be one of your top 35 years of earnings, then you're going to get cheated a little bit on your Social Security. You need to get that corrected, and there's not a long time to do it. I don't know how long it is, but I'm assuming if you wait 10 or 20 years, they're not going to correct it. But my guess is if you get right on it, you'll be covered. Okay, important tips. Whereas you can claim Social Security if eligible at age 62, be aware it is your lowest monthly amount. I'll give you a quick example. All right, I'll use myself, for instance. Suppose my primary insurance amount that I'm slated to get at age 67 is $2,000 a month. If I wait, and if I keep with the earnings that I have now, that pattern, and I end up collecting at exactly age 67, then I'll get $2,000 a month. However, in a couple of years, if I decide I'm going to collect it at age 62, I will get about $1,400, probably something less. And if I push it off until age 70, I'll get $2,480 a month. Now, this assumes all things are equal, but they probably aren't. Key thing is, the longer you're going to be collecting Social Security, the lower your monthly amount. The reward for waiting is around 8% a year until age 70. Collecting at age 70, all things being equal, increases your check by about 76%. Keep in mind, this is an each month thing. You don't have to start collecting right on your birthday. You can wait, a month or two if you want, and every month you wait, it goes up a little bit until you turn 76. Another important tip: if you are divorced, it is possible to claim off your spouse's earnings. There's some conditions. The primary important one is you must have been married at least 10 years. If you're remarried, probably you won't be able to do it, but check. If you are a widower or a widow, you may collect the benefit. This is going to be an important discussion in one of my case studies coming up. Once you elect to claim a benefit, there is a very limited time to change your mind. It used to be you could collect at 62, you could bank all of your Social Security, and then at age 70, if you decided, hey, I'll pay all the money back, and then you can get the benefit you would be getting at age 70. No more. During the Obama administration, they made that go away. A portion of your benefit may be taxable. there's this equation that your accountant will know called provisional income. Whether you're married or single, the numbers are different, but up to 85% of your Social Security could be taxable. Check with your accountant. They'll help you figure it out. Okay, a few case studies that illustrate why paying a consulting fee is totally worth it, or can be worth it. First example, John and Jane Doe. These are a couple of clients of mine, came to me and said, hey, Jane says, I'm thinking about collecting my $1,200 a month now. I don't really need it, but I feel better collecting it, and I'll just put it in the bank and, you know, have a nice chunk of cash when I turn 70. What do you think? Well, I did extensive research into their situation, because every situation's individual. And I looked at Jane, I said, Jane, you do that, be sure and put $300 a month aside for taxes. What do you mean? Well, after talking to your accountant, we figure that's about what the tax bill is going to be for putting for collecting early. And then I said, make sure your investment advisor, because I wasn't their investment advisor, can make up that amount plus 8%. Well, where'd you get 8%? Well, that's about how much it's going to, well, that is what it's going to increase over the next 3 years. I ended up giving them the advice that they should push it off till 70 if possible. I did throw a couple of caveats in there. Caveat number one was if all of a sudden you need money because John's not making as much money as he used to, then let's look at your situation and find out if Social Security is the right place to get it from, if there's some other place. The other reason I would change my advice, and I told them to call me if either one of these happened, if somebody went to the doctor and they got an unfortunate diagnosis that they had 6 months to live. Now, most people's impulse on hearing news like that is, you know, run, don't walk to the Social Security office and start collecting immediately. Matter of fact, before I became a retirement income certified professional, when going through courses at the American College, I would have thought the same thing. However, there are a few things you should know before you claim. I told them, I said, if it's Jane, because she's the smaller breadwinner, probably that'll be the right answer. If it's John, it's going to depend on when he gets this awful diagnosis. He's 62. It may not make sense, because when he passes away, if he's collected, she, you know, her widow's benefit is going to be based on that number. Whereas if he never collects it, it could be a higher number. Key thing is get professional assistance on this. Just a side note, we calculated that if they live into their early 90s, which these days it's very possible, that they'll collect an extra $54,000. That was the estimate. Next case, Roberta Doe. She was a divorced lady that I met at around age 65. And we got to talking, and she was already collecting her Social Security. She did not know that she could collect off her ex's earnings. Now, here's the thing, you know, she said, well, I don't want to talk to him. It's like, well, you don't have to, and he'll never know, because it won't hit his Social Security at all. So our best guess is that she could have collected a couple, $300-400 extra a month if she'd known that, because he was a big wage earner and she was not. Larry Doe. He's a 62-year-old single guy. He was the big breadwinner, and he's the only breadwinner. But his health wasn't necessarily great. He didn't expect to live a long time, and he needed the money, so he collected early. So there's no hard and fast rule, except consult somebody who can dig into your situation and think of stuff that you won't. By the way, anybody that gets a financial plan with me, I will go over with them as appropriate, because it's probably one of the most important decisions to make when retiring. Remember that 1666, can you live on that every month if that's all you have? And the last thing I'd like to talk about is not exactly a case study, but it's just to let you know what my thinking is about planning or how to collect Social Security. Okay, after I get to the point where you're living a reasonable life, you're not just rocking on a chair in the back porch, because that would get boring after a while, and you worked really hard so you could enjoy your golden years. So there's 3 phases of retirement. There's the go-go years, where you're doing pretty much everything you did while you were working, except going into the job. Then at some point you start going into these slow go years, where you're doing a lot of the things you were doing before, but not quite as often. Then the final phase before post-retirement are the no-go years, where 2 trips to the grocery store in a month is an adventure for you. So when I am helping you pick your Social Security, besides looking at your family's longevity and whether you need the money or not, we try to establish a reasonable lifestyle for you. But then after that, my priority is taking care of the no-go years, because face it, there are not many places where you can reliably get 8% increase for a number of years. And Social Security is one of those places. And we're in the retirement phase. Will my money outlive me? And this is one of your most important decisions when in or near retirement, because like I said, with John and Jane Doe, it's an extra $54,000. And I have seen projections with individual clients that it's over 100,000. So before you go making the decision to pull the trigger, make sure you're well informed. It's really important that you know what you're getting into. Okay, what should you do now? Now, if you have a financial plan, this should be part of it. Continue to work it, and be sure you talk to your financial advisor before you start claiming Social Security. Now, if you don't have a plan, contact your investment or financial advisor and get one. This is really money well spent. And if you don't have a plan or a planner, feel free to contact me. I am licensed in several states. And if I'm not licensed in your state, call me anyway. We'll talk briefly, see if it makes sense for me to get licensed and registered in your state. There is no cost for the initial call, and you'll know what you're getting into before you get into it. How to reach me. Now, I'm going to prattle on for a little while, but you can copy down my website address, herwirefinancial.com, at the top of every page on my website in the upper right-hand corner. And this shows a clip of it. It's the schedule an appointment button. You can schedule a phone appointment. You can schedule a Zoom appointment. You can schedule an in-person appointment. So if you have questions, feel free to use that to contact me, or you can email me. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, go for it. If you want to see more videos like this, as always, visit my Herwire Financial Facebook page, or go to the YouTube page, and there's a button for YouTube right in between the LinkedIn and Facebook buttons, just to the left of the schedule and appointments. Please like me and follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And for those who are not liking computers so much, you can pick up the phone and call me, 518-631-2569. That's 518-631-2569. Have a nice day.